I'll volunteer again.
Oh, well, I was just about to start there,
Go ahead.
James.
No, go ahead. By all means.
Our Father Jehovah, our powerful and great Creator. One of the most amazing things that I find every month is be able to look up and try and find the new moon to start the month. Father, I am so thankful that you created these big, majestic timepieces in the sky that we can keep track of time with. And we get so excited, when we see them. I don't know why. It doesn't matter how many times I do it, I still get excited when I see them. So I thank you, Father, for this opportunity to begin the new year with this new moon. We ask your blessing upon this service that Kurt's going to present, and just help us, Father, to learn and to be a blessing to you. Everything we're doing is to be a blessing to you. So we ask your blessing upon today so that we can do that. Be with Kurt. I think he's outside in the cold. It's really cold where he's at. And just bless him and bless this presentation. And we give all the glory and thank you for all these things that you have taught us. In the glory of the name Jehovah, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joe. Okay. I'm actually inside a bus. It's cold, but it's not as cold as out there. Okay, so this is my new moon teaching. The new moon. I call it Hodesh 2320. That's the Strong's number. So now you're going to have to forgive me. It's all on my computer here. I don't have any books this time, so you won't have to watch me fumble through paper. Yeah, like you said, Joe, we want this to be a blessing to Jehovah, that his name may be glorified through this. So hopefully there's, we're probably speaking to the choir here, but hopefully there'll be some tidbits for some people to learn some things. So the new moon is Hodesh. The Hebrew letters, which I couldn't figure out how to make them work on my computer. So it's Het Dalet Shin, Hodesh, from 2318, the new month. What that means is to be new, to rebuild. So it's starting from nothing at conjunction, which is not citable, and it's building slowly for the first 2 weeks to fullness, and then it wanes to back to nothingness again, and it's a repeating cycle. Okay, let's see what happens. So I guess I have to click on it. So there's a picture of a new moon, the first sliver. That one, it's rare to see it like that. Usually it's canted on an angle more, but to have it right underneath, that's a rare one. I pulled that off the internet. That's not my own. So that's what you're looking for this evening in about an hour or so, maybe a little longer. And I'm going to describe a little bit. So here's what you're looking at when you're talking about the new moon. We're here on Earth, and the moon is between us and the sun. So when the moon is in conjunction, that means it's longitudinally lined up with the sun. Not off to the side. It can be below or above. It's only when it's perfect that we have a perfectly aligned that we get an eclipse of the sun. But conjunction is longitudinally lined up. And it takes a day usually to move off to the side like I've got shown here. And this is where you begin to see it. When it's lined up in conjunction, the sun is so bright you cannot see the moon. There's no light reflected from it. We need it to be off to the side a bit so that we can actually see reflected light onto it. I read today that it's about the same reflectiveness as old pavement, is what this description was. So it doesn't give off its own light. It only reflects what's put onto it. So the big scriptures. Does somebody want to read? We read it today. We'll probably read it again. Genesis 1:14. Can someone pull that up and read it for us? If you don't mind, because I don't have it. Are we still there? Or did I lose you?
We're here.
Okay. Could someone read Genesis 1:14, please?
Genesis 1:14, for signs and for seasons. Signs 22. Oh, you want me to read the Bible? I don't have my Bible.
Yeah, the actual scripture. Okay, well.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night. And let there be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Is that all you want?
That's all I need. Thank you. We're going to pick scriptures. We're not going to read the whole book today. So signs is Strong's 22:26. Oat. Aleph Vav Tav from 225. Come, in the sense of appearing. You got to think about these words. In the sense of appearing, a signal as a flag, a beacon, a monument, an omen, a prodigy, evidence. To me, that's all about sight. And seasons is 4150. We should know that one fairly well. Moed from 3259. An appointment, a fixed time or season, specifically a festival, conventionally a year. By implication, an assembly is convened for a definite purpose. By extension, the place of meeting. Also, a signal. You got two words that are talking about a signal. They both have related meanings. And so that Moed, we're talking about the fourth day of creation. These times were set out, marked on the calendar, if you will, right from the beginning. It's part of the plan. We just have to figure out what that plan is. So here's the moon is a Psalm 104:19. Can someone read that one for me?
He appointed the moon for season. The sun knoweth is going down.
There you go. Got a purpose. Appointed for the seasons. And the moon here, the word is Yarek. I didn't write the Hebrew down for that. It's what is that? Yod Resh Et. Probably. The moon, a lunation, a month. So in this case, the English translators, they got it. So an important thing to do is to go to Deuteronomy 4, verse 19, please. If someone would read that one. This is something to bear in mind for the whole time we're doing this.
I'll do it.
And
Unless you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, lest you should be driven to worship them and serve them, which Jehovah your God has allotted to all nations under all the heavens.
so we're not here to worship the moon. We're to worship Jehovah. It was in Numbers, and we'll get there, but there is a new moon sacrifice that was made, and we're here to observe that time. We're not going to make any sacrifices, but we're observing the time because we want to know when the year begins, when the month begins, and in this case, it's the year. So these objects in the heavens are to be signals as to time, to connect us with the appointed times, the Moedim, to observe them diligently, but take great care not to worship the objects themselves. The Moedim were appointed. The appointments marked on the calendar from the very beginning. It's up to us to figure out when they are and be there on time with bells on. Not before, not after, but on time. Their whole purpose is to be a signal to make known the appointed times. Now here, this, Joe, you might recognize this, do you? This is in a park in Jerusalem. I don't know what park it is. This is a sundial. This is how time is measured. The day, anyways. I'm just showing this for an example of how you can mechanically be aware of what time it is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this works, because this one's actually pretty cool. Never seen anything like it. Notice there's a little hole up there in the center under that iron. That's a piece of iron that goes across the top, and it casts a shadow right there in the middle. And you can see what it is. It's a great big slab of stone. There's part of the old city behind there. And what it does, I just happened to cross this thing right about noon. It was really close. So they've got these brass dots. You can see where the 2 and the 3 are, and up near the top of the picture is a 1. That little dot at the top would be where the sun, that disc of light there, would show up on June 21. And yeah, that'd be June 21 when it shows up there. And the 2 and the 3 are at the spring and fall equinoxes. So you can see I was just after the equinox. This was actually just at Passover time. So you can make a clock if you need to. If you, excuse me, if you understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. Now here, Exodus 12, verse 2. The word beginning of months is used there. Now I think we read this one too today. This is when they come out of Egypt. And he said, after the hail, this is going to be the beginning of months for you. The word beginning is Rosh, Resh, Aleph, Sheen, which means head, chief, leader, top, summit, the beginning. A related word is Roshit, beginning, first fruits, the choice, the best part. He doesn't want the last. He wants the first. He wants the very best. Oh, we got problems now. Okay. So this is inclines. I don't know if you're supposed to do this sort of thing, but I did it anyways. This is Resh Aleph Hey here, which is a related word. But if you look here, these words on the page are all related to sight, to see, exhibitionism, exhibitionistic. That's about showing off. Ra'i, mirror. Ra'i, appearance, aspect. Ra'i, seeing, sight, appearance. It's also, if you look at the bottom, excrement, something we don't want to see, which is interesting that it's there. So what I read out of this is it's all about sighting the moon. This is not talking about a conjunction moon. Here's where I describe that. The word for beginning, Resh Aleph Shin Hey, gives us a very important understanding of when the new moon occurs. It is about sight. Resh Aleph Yod is mirror, appearance, seeing, sight. Resh Aleph Yod Hey, seeing, looking, appearance in the temple, evidence, proof. So what I see from this is the moon must be seen, as in the first sliver, in order to know that the month has started. If it is not seen, there is no evidence. Therefore, it can't be declared, except, of course, in a situation like this one where we've got a 30-day month. That's another topic for another time, but it's about being seen. None of these words describe the conjunction, a time when the moon is not visible because it is too close to the sun. But once it progresses a few hours, the sunlight will be reflected, so we can see it. And we'll have a look here. This is Torah calendar. This is what their calculation, I guess, not really a prediction, for Saturday, February 13th. That's the alignment that we're looking at. There's sun just set in the bottom of the screen there. And here's the moon. Last night when we saw it, we were probably right in this range here. We were right on that sightable area.
Kurt, did you want to switch screen share?
Sorry?
You're not sharing your screen with us right now.
I'm not? I think I am.
I can see it.
I see it.
I see it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So yeah, we saw it last night. Thanks to Stuart's phone call. You should have seen him. I've never seen Stuart so excited. That was awesome. I could tell he was jumping up and down. It was just great. Because if he had called, I wouldn't have got to see it.
You sighted the moon last night?
We did sight the moon from Indian Head and Capel, Saskatchewan.
Well, so today is the first, right?
Well, I don't really recognize our sighting. Sure, we saw it, yes, but it needs to be seen at Jerusalem. In my opinion, that's what I believe. We got to defer all things to Jerusalem, and in this case, it needs to be sighted there. Even though we can sight it here sometimes, and last night was a good example. Once in a while, it is visible in North America before it's visible in Israel. And this was a good example of that.
Kurt, what time was that at? Do you remember?
Oh, 6:45 or something.
Oh, that late. Okay.
Is that correct, Stuart?
Yes, it was 6:52 when I posted on Slack to
Okay.
some people.
Thanks.
Are you done your teaching, Kurt?
No, we're not done yet.
Okay, I'll wait till later.
I got a couple more things for you. Not a lot. This isn't a long teaching. Some of these things you folks know, I'm sure. Trying to put it all together for some of the new folk, and probably should have more color for some. So here's Psalm 81:3. Who wants to read that one? You can start with your shofar if you got one.
If somebody blows the shofar, I'll read. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in time appointed on our solemn feast.
It's a practice one. Okay, so there's use for it. It says specifically there's 2 times when we should do this. The new moon, so the new moon festival.
Kurt, did we blow a shofar? Do we want one blown?
Yeah, you got one?
I blew mine, but I had myself muted.
Awesome. So it says to blow the trumpet at the time of the new moon. That's today. It also says to at the full moon on our solemn feast day. So we've got 2 feast days that land on a full moon or very near it. Feast of Unleavened Bread coming up, and also beginning of Sukkot. So where it says trumpet, the word is shofar. We all know what that is. The new moon's word is hodesh. The full moon, the word there is to cover, means to cover. So I suspect what they mean there is it's covered in light. Not as in covered as in darkness. It's covered in light. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's the correct understanding, covered in light. I just wanted to point out to you the other verse 1, blow the trumpet at the time of the new moon. That's the Feast of Trumpets. You didn't mention that.
That's, yep, correct. Thank you. I'm quite willing to have color added because I've only got so much. Yep, the Feast of Trumpets. And that's really what this pictures. So what's happening is there's a renewal every month. The moon disappears and then it starts, it's seen, and it works its way to full, and it goes its way to being not seen again every month. It just happens. So it's a cyclical thing. It's a renewal. It actually pictures the renewal of us. It's a rebirth. How does that picture? Well, we were reborn when we jumped onto the bandwagon of Yeshua being our savior. So I guess we did that. We blew the shofar. Let's see, what do we got? So there's a couple other instances. Gideon blew the shofar in Judges and Joshua. We could read Judges 7:18. See what I was thinking when I wrote that down.
When I blow with the trumpet,
If you like, go right ahead.
and I and all that are with me Then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and say, the sword of Yahovah and of Gideon.
So there's power in the shofar. If Jehovah's behind it, there's power in it. It's not just a signaling tool. I see it as it's almost a weapon of war. So if someone could read Joshua 6, verse 20, please.
So the people shouted with the shofars blowing. When the people heard the sound of the shofars, the people let out a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. So that the people went up into the city, each one straight ahead of him, and they captured the city.
That's awesome. And here, this picture here, this is me blowing my shofar in front of the walls of Jericho. One of the most awesome things I've ever experienced. It's something else. I didn't get to go up into Jericho to look at it. I could have. I was quite happy to blow my shofar at the walls.
I love your Sunday go to meeting clothing there.
Yeah. I think that might have been after I was in. That might have been after I was in Hezekiah's tunnel. It might have been still pretty wet.
Just kidding you.
That's okay. So here's Leviticus 23, verse 4. It says, you shall proclaim in their seasons, the Moedim, his festivals. The interesting thing here is the word feasts is the word Hag, which is Het Gimel. Means a festival or a victim, therefore a solemn feast day, sacrifice, solemnity. Het Gimel, Gimel is a primitive root. Properly to move in a circle, to march in a sacred procession, to observe a festival, to be giddy, celebrate, dance, hold a solemn feast, to reel to and fro. This is a picture of Hebraic dancing to me, which I know almost zero about. Have never experienced it.
Kurt,
yes.
can I just jump in on this with you then?
You go right ahead.
Because this Hag, Het Gimel, scriptures about Jericho. They went around Jericho 7 times. At the Hag, you go up to the Hag. It's the 7, the number 7. These are all related words going around in the circle, the cycle of life, the cycle of time, Shemitah, the Shabbat, the 7th month, the 7 millennium. They're all tied into this word here that you're pointing out. And it's significant what you're saying here. Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate anything that anyone can offer to add color to this is good. That's what I see. It's the words, it's the meanings, and the word pictures that you get when you hear these words and you hear the definitions. Later on, you'll hear these things and you'll know what they mean. So the beginnings of months are not mentioned here. They're not Hag festivals. Hag festivals. Hag. So it's important to remember that. This isn't a high day. It's an important day. So there's three Hag festivals. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Sukkot, and the Feast of, I don't have it here, but it's Pentecost. Shavuot is also a Hag festival. Klein says, Het Gimel Gimel is to make a pilgrimage, to celebrate a feast, to dance, to reel, to be giddy, to dance, leap, and jump. Is that what David was up to, that he got in so much trouble for? Maybe his kilt was flying a little high. So
Okay, I've not heard that one.
he was well, I don't know. I wonder if he wasn't wearing a kilt type garment that maybe exposed himself. I'm not sure about that one.
There is suggestions.
So we got the 3 Hog festivals on the 15th of the first month, the 15th of the 7th month, and also the Feast of Weeks. Those are our 3 Hog festivals. Now, because I was there and this is what was happening, here's my barley report from 2018. That's what I witnessed. I was in the kind of upper end of the Kidron Valley, and I found a patch of barley. I was jumping up and down when I found that. Just wild out there and growing all on its own. There's even a goat herder out there, sheep herder. What was funny is he was talking on his cell phone, herding sheep. Seemed out of place. Modern shepherd, I guess. Uh-oh. What happened? Uh-oh. My computer not happy because it's too cold.
You're still
We
sharing
can
your
hear you,
screen
Kurt.
here.
Yeah, I see the screen there, but the screen went blank on the computer. Uh-oh.
Touch your space bar.
It's not happy. Not happy.
Press Alt Tab.
Gonna have to move closer to the heat source here.
We see your last picture with the barley.
Yeah, and now
Okay.
it's on. I think we have technical difficulties here that it looks like they're.
We've just lost screen share. Are you able to send your PowerPoint to somebody?
No, this is on my computer. Let's go to. I'll go to video. I'll start a video with me. Here's me. So I am still here, but no, that's it. Computer's not happy. It got cold.
Finished by memory, buddy.
Well, I can do my best, I guess, because this isn't, it's not responding. The inputs. Good to know, I guess. Let me just, okay. Well, what I wanted to talk about partly was that you can, when David said he said tomorrow is the full moon or the new moon. You can really rocket scientist stuff. What you do is you have to be watching, right? So throughout the months, you're not just looking for the new moon. You're aware through the whole time. So you've seen it come from new to full. Now it's waning. It's getting less and less, and it's getting smaller and smaller sliver. If you wake up early on, watch the sunrise, if you can be up before sunrise at the end of the month, there's what I would call is a last sliver. And when you see that last sliver, because maybe you got a notification from Her Majesty's Naval Office telling you that the new moon was coming. Now they call it conjunction, but you're aware, right? So you're going to go out and you're going to take a tape measure with you. And what you're going to do is you're going to reach your arms out with your tape measure, and you're going to measure from where you see the sun. You know where it's going to come up, but you want to take your measurement just before the sun comes up because it gets pretty bright. So you're going to measure between the moon and the sun, basically at arm's length. When you get that number, let's say it's 20 centimeters. You've waited till probably the last day. There's 20 centimeters difference between the sun and the moon.
Okay, put that in inches for all the Americans don't know what centimeters are.
Well, you can do it in inches, which is about 8 inches, but the calculation actually works best in metric. The moon travels across the sky at 0.5 centimeters per hour. The differential of the movement between the sun and the moon, it's either growing away or getting closer to the sun by about 0.5 centimeters per hour. So now we've got 20 centimeters between the sun and the moon. That means you got 40 hours from the moon till it reaches over to the sun, till it reaches conjunction. So now you know how long it's going to be till conjunction. Well, that doesn't do us any good. Double that, 40 hours will bring you to the same position. So the moon's going to be in exactly the same position relative to the sun, but it's on the other side of the sun. It'll move from what would be the south side at sunrise, and it'll move to where it's the south side at sunset in 40 hours. So you can get an approximation of what day you need to be looking for your new moon.
Kurt, can you repeat the formula for Annie?
Okay, so the formula is 0.5 centimeters per hour. So whatever your measurement is, that's X. X times 0.5 equals number of hours to conjunction. X, now if you get that gives you a new number. Now if you multiply that by 2, that will give you the number of hours to when the moon is in the same relative position as it is, as you just saw it, only on the other side of the sun.
Kurt,
that
would you please back up and just one more time go through how you measure and get those centimeters? Thank you.
Okay. So so on the sun, I don't have a whiteboard with me and nothing. I'm ill prepared. So when you see the sunrise, you've got the last sliver of the moon is up here, and the sunrise is going to be down here, and you can see it coming because it's getting pretty bright. And just when it pokes up, that's when you're going to measure with your tape measure. Just take it and, just at arm's length and hold it out there and see what you get. No, it doesn't have to be precise because we're really looking for a day, right? We don't need the exact number of hours. We just need to have the days, right? We need to know what night we're going to go look.
Okay, is this going to work? Is this going to work in Australia? Same thing?
It'll work anywhere.
Okay.
Yep. And if it I'd like to hear people try it, and I believe it should work anywhere. So there's how you can, maybe David knew of this method. I'm quite certain that the Levitical priesthood would have been able to do something like that. I think being timekeepers was part of their job. Also, I see this is actually a job for, it's not for every individual, like I believe you need to understand how to work the calendar yourself, but it's some of I can see why they would have a team, let's say, that looks after these things so that I can go and focus on my work and not have to worry too much about these things, right? Because division of labor is what I'm describing, really. Oh, here comes my noisy neighbor. He's actually going. He's actually slowed down, so he's being considerate. That's nice. I'm about 150 feet from the railroad track. Sometimes it gets a little loud.
Okay, Kurt, you got a question here in the chat. Dumb question, but what is the purpose of the formula and measuring the distance between the sun and the moon?
Okay, so that'll give you the number of hours to conjunction. You can do it. It doesn't have to be the very last sliver. It could be 3 days out. And you would still get the same. You can use that calculation to find out when conjunction is. And you know that it's either going to be the day following conjunction. It may be the day of, if conjunction happens to be in, say, midnight or something like that. You could see the moon that day, which is kind of a rare occurrence. But once you know when conjunction is, you know when you need to be going out there and looking. Because it's either going to be that night or the following night, or worst case scenario, the night after that. But it's going to give you references to when you need to be going out and looking.
If I can chime in here,
Yep.
I go to work, or used to go to work at 4 in the morning, and I would see the sun coming up and I would see the moon going down. And I got to know that at that point, depending on how high up in the sky, if the moon was in the last parts of it, just before the sun came up, then I knew that about 3 days later, I would see the sun, or I would see the moon in the western sky as a brand new moon, or the renewed moon. So it's just a matter of being aware of the moon and watching for it in the early morning. And that's why David would know in 3 day time is going to be the new moon, right?
Yep. It's just, you got to get up early enough. That's all. And you can see, it's actually quite special. I don't see it every month, but I've seen it. That's exactly it. You're up early, you're watching, you're driving towards the east in the morning, and there's the moon, and boom, there's the sun comes up. You've got an indicator.
Hey, Kurt.
Yep. Sorry, Pamela. Go ahead. I had myself muted.
Sorry, Joe. For those city people that don't get a chance to observe this on a regular basis, I'd like to point out, typically that last sliver seems to come up in the east sky, the east side, and just like it goes down, and we see the renewed sliver just before it goes down in the southwest. But the moon will vary with the seasons. So it's not always at the exact same place month to month. And the sun, the same thing. It comes up like here at my place, and then in the winter, and then comes up here in the summer. And the same with the moon. It'll be further to the north right now in the winter, and further to the south come summer.
Yep, absolutely correct. There's if you had a tool you could actually track the seasons by the position of the moon. When you see it, say at new moon, you would be able to tell roughly, where you are in time.
Another question here, Kurt.
Yep.
Does your tape measure is your tape measure in meters or inches? And does it matter what number we use for X?
What I'm describing is in centimeters or metric. It's in meters. And the number that you get at X, that is the one. X is the one that you get when you measure. When you stretch out the tape and it says 36 centimeters, that's no. So 36 times 0.5 equals X. So it's whatever you get. If it's 30 centimeters between the sun and the moon, double that. So times 2 is the same as times 0.5. Get the same number. That is X. That's
okay.
your
I think, Kurt,
number of hours to conjunction.
I'm not sure, but I think you may have just confused everyone. So if the distance between the sunrise and the moon is 36, you times it by 0.5 to get 18.
0.5 hours. Okay.
You divide.
So
you don't times, you divide. You multiply, you divide.
Yes, the moon moves across the sky at 0.5 centimeters per hour. So if you've got 30 centimeters, that means it's going to take 60 hours to move to conjunction. It's 0.5 centimeters per hour. So
okay.
You're times 2.
So it's your centimeters times 2 every time to get when it's going to come back out that many days later.
At conjunction, that gives you the number of hours to conjunction. Yes, I actually messed that up. Sorry. Working from memory, I got a bad one. So if that's, I don't know, does anybody have any more questions about that?
So to make that measurement, you have to be able to see the sun and the moon?
Yeah, or a good approximation of where the sun's going to come up, because you can tell it's right there, because it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and you can see that spot on the horizon where it's going to rise. If I don't see the calculation needing to be an exact thing. It's an approximation. You're just looking for the number of days, really, until which evening you're gonna need to be going out to have a look, make your observation. Now, I see the sun is going down here. A rev is happening. The shadows are getting long. They're lengthening, just like the description. I see a nice pink hue on everything around me. Could maybe take you out. Oh, sure, I'll take you out. Let's take everybody outside. This is part of it. The teaching's moving outdoors. We'll have some little bit of time lapse stuff, kind of.
What's the temperature there, Kurt?
Well, we'll check that. We'll go find a thermometer because I got one. And I'm gonna switch my camera.
Kurt, why are you in an old bus?
why am I in an old bus? Because I'm on a journey and I am desperate for a place to stay. And I happened along this old bus. Somebody left here. They happened to leave firewood in the bus, and they left a frozen bottle of water. If I thaw it out.
So you're in a bus? I thought you said a box.
That's kind of a joke, but that's I've got this old bus. It's a 1954. How do you switch cameras? There it is. What was that? Switch camera. Okay. Here's my bus. That's my man cave.
Nice bus, Kurt.
It's a 1954 GMC city bus from California that was brought up to Canada. And I managed to overpay for it at an auction because I want it. And
You ever fix it up?
well, I was gonna sell my pizzas out of it, but I kind of like it just the way it is. So there's our sunset. When I first mentioned, the sun actually was still up. It's gone. So we can start fires, which I'll tell you, I broke the rules. I had to start a fire in the bus so I wouldn't freeze to death. Right now, we've got no visible moon. Should be somewhere to the left of the sunset. Should be up there somewhere.
That's a beautiful sunset.
Not yet. We'll take you for a tour over to the. Might as well give you a tour.
What exactly is the temperature there?
We're gonna go find out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had to step away for a second.
We're gonna find out. You guys are gonna know me fairly well by the time we're done this. There's the oven. I'm gonna fire that up here.
Oh God.
What are we?
15 below.
Minus 26 or 7.
Yeah, we got minus 28 here.
She'll drop before this is all done. She'll drop some more. So what else can I do for teaching for you? I guess I could show you. I'll take you to show you the sundial, because that's part of it. So here's this is my chimney.
How cool.
That I've been blessed with. Not too many people own an 84-foot tall chimney, stack of bricks. But I've been wondering, what in the world is this thing? What have I got this for? I think I'm starting to understand. It's a beacon. What's a beacon? Like some people would call it an idol. You know, it's a big phallic symbol or something, right? But it's not. I can see it being used as a beacon. Here, this is my sundial. This is a very simple sundial. I've got just a twig of a stick for my gnomon, but the thing is that it's oriented to the north. It's got lines on it. You could use this as a calendar to help you understand what, you know, the sunrise right now, that's about looking, that's southeast. There's where the sunrise would be roughly right at the moment. Of quite far south. Oh no, wait a second. We're headed towards equinox. It's going to be somewhere over there. And then in the middle of the summer, it's going to get to be oriented over here, something like that. So you can make mechanical observations. Hopefully nobody moves your pebble.
Hey, Kurt,
Yes, sir.
you have that big chimney there. You could use that as your sundial and just move those stones like they did for Stonehenge and put them for your various points of reference.
Well, that's absolutely true. This thing could be the gnomon itself. And I've seen it. I actually watched so the railroad is right behind it. I actually could watch the sun move across from where the railroad tracks are up there. I actually could, if you stood there for a second, you could see the sun move. You can see the shadow move across. So it's tall enough that it'll cast a long enough shower that you can actually visibly see the sun, the movement of the sun. It's kind of cool. It was inspirational to a stonemason, right? To buy a chimney. I think it was a folly myself.
And just so those people who don't know, that squeaking you hear is his feet walking on the snow. That is how cold it is.
Yep. When the snow crunches, you know you've got cold. So we've got a few minutes yet. What time have we got? We've got a few. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you're going to have about 45 minutes before you're going to see that moon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to start my fire to warm up.
Do you want to pause the recording and come back and do the sighting then?
Yeah, we can stop the recording anytime here. I had a little bit more teaching to do, but I don't recall what it was when I lost the computer.
May want to grab your laptop and bring it inside, Kurt.
It is inside. It is inside. I didn't do any of that from outside. I guess that's how cool it is in here.
Go ahead and pause it now.
Go ahead. Anytime.